Hey, I'm Eli.
And I'm Aiden. We're ex husbands, co parents, and proud dads to two beautiful daughters.
Join us as we navigate dating after divorce, co parenting, and redefining our relationship as friends.
Because even as exes, we're still better together apart.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Better Together Apart. Hello, Aiden.
Hey Eli, happy weekend for us.
Happy weekend for us. We're in Miami. If you're watching us on YouTube, and you can see the lovely view of the Miami beach. So check us out on YouTube if you haven't subscribed to watch us while we speak. And today we have a very juicy, very interesting topic that happens actually mostly to gays. I mean, unless you're bisexual, but what happens when you break up from your ex, but you still share the same dating pool and you got to meet the same guys and you get to date sometimes the same
Wait,
guys?
I'm confused now. Okay, so let's track back. So we got separated,
Yes.
and then we started dating people.
Yes.
So the story is that what happens when we start dating the same people.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I met some people, they, at some point, I realized that they met you or had sex with you or had a date with you. And to be honest, I had the rule at the beginning, at least the first few months of us being together. And little did I know that it was a very not a good rule. So my rule was I'm not going to date or have sex with anyone that was with you or had a date with you.
But if we go back a bit, it took us by surprise. Like we didn't grasp the concept that we might be talking to the same people. It took us some time. You started dating, I started dating, and all of a sudden you said, "Oh, I talked to someone who you also know." And we were surprised about that
Yeah.
for no reason, right?
Well, you think that Miami is so big and there's so many gays, so like, what are the chances that we both meet the same person? Well, obviously, it happened not just once, and it got to a point where I used to go on a date, show him your picture. Do you know this guy? Do you know this person? And if he said yes, how do you know this guy? Have you dated him? Have you had sex with him?
So, but this was like uh,
A few weeks into this.
yes, a few weeks into the process. At the beginning, we kind of were surprised. Oh, I'm speaking to someone who knows you, and then we didn't really know how we feel about that. First of all, it took us some time to understand that we actually are interested in people that we have the same taste to some extent.
No. I have a certain taste, and your taste is general. It's everybody.
Yeah, that's true. So my taste is more broad, and it's inclusive of your taste.
Exactly. Unfortunately, my taste is not as broad as yours. And then I was like, why can he just
we remember your
focus?
We remember your specific profile
Yes.
factors in on Grinder and Hinge. I
Yes.
block you. I block you. I block you. I
I'll
block
block you if you. I'll block you if you.
Uh.
I have very specific taste, and I just didn't understand why you cannot focus on the people outside of my spectrum, because your spectrum is wider. So just go to these people, and I'll just stick with my group of people, which is to some degree smaller than yours.
Yeah.
But what I used to do at the beginning, I checked their Instagram. I asked for their Instagram, and I checked if you're following each other. And then I would ask them, do you know this person? How do you know this person? And sometimes they did not really know you in person.
Yeah,
but
so I have many people on Instagram that I am following, and they follow me, and we don't really know each other.
yes, but
So this method of yours is like only partially gonna work because
but I asked them. I mean, they could have told me, yes, I met this guy, or no, I haven't met this guy. And I just want to make sure that there was no history with you before.
yeah.
But little did I know that there were just too many people, and I had to ditch that rule after a while. But we did have some crazy stories of dating the same guys without knowing about it. And one story was literally the craziest one, and we can tell all of our viewers and listeners about it. So there was a guy I spoke on the apps, and I think it was Grinder, and he told me he's looking for a relationship. He actually also said that there's not going to be sex for the first date, and I was really happy about that because I really wanted like a real date, no sex, just like meeting someone. And I was really trying to meet new people and really to find out my dating habits, who I like, who I don't like. And he seemed like a really great guy. He was very good looking, very much my type. So I was, yes, let's do it. He chose a cool bar. I think it was Midtown or downtown or in between. And we went to the bar. We sat in the bar, and as you know, I'm usually telling my story. I'm telling about me, where I come from, that I have a family, I'm divorced, I have two kids, and basically
So you had a good date.
yeah, we had a great date,
No
and
sex.
no sex. We
Okay.
we agreed on that. There was no sex. There was no like expectations of ooh, will he invite me over? Blah blah blah. No, and I loved that. And we talked a lot. Really got to know each other, and I was very intrigued to have a second date with him. And we kissed, and then we just said goodbye, and then we said, okay, let's talk about meeting up again. Now, the next day, and we talk about the next day.
I think the next day is my story.
No, but I'll tell you what happened on the next day on my end, and then you can tell your story about it.
Oh yeah.
So the next day,
No, but I think I need to start. I need to start my story the next day.
no, I think
Alright.
mine is good. So the next day, the next day, I actually had another date with someone else,
Okay.
and I had a nice date, and we were just dating. It's not like we're committed to each other or we said we exclusively seeing each other only. So I had another date, and then literally I was getting a text from him during that
From
date.
the first date.
Yeah, from the day before.
During the second date, you're getting a text from the first date.
Yeah,
Okay.
from the guy that I had the date the day before. The next day I had a date with another person, not with him, with another person. But during that date, he texted me, "Can we talk?"
Right.
And I was like, "Why do we need to talk?" I mean, usually texting is fine. I'm not used to talking, and it's just, "Can we talk?" I was like, "What the hell?" I said, "Okay, maybe something happened." I was a little concerned. If he really wants to talk on the phone,
Maybe
okay.
an STD to the kiss.
I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. But I was okay. I'll call him, and I told my date, "Just a second. I need to take this call." So I went like outside, and I had this call with him. And I said, "Hey, hey, I don't want to say the name, but hey, someone, what happened? What's going on?" And he said, "Well, I'm now near the bathroom, and I think I'm having a date with your ex-husband." And I was like, "What?" It's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. He talked about his life, and it was very similar. And then, after a few minutes, I realized that's your ex husband. And I said, "Well, okay. So we're not obligated to each other. It happens." But he seemed a little freaked out about it. And then I told him, "Everything is fine. No worries. All good. You can continue the date." And then he said, "No, no, no. I think I'm going to cut it. I'm just going to go home, and I'm not feeling comfortable with this." And I said, you do whatever you want. That's totally fine, and that's it. And then I hung up the phone, and that's it. I didn't know what happened afterwards. But then you called me a few minutes later to tell me your story, and then let's hear what you went through.
Yeah. So my story is that it was a while ago. It was back then when I didn't have my script or protocol of how to date. I was using Grinder, and I was using Grinder for dating, right? So I was looking for dates on Grinder, and I came across this cute guy that I who was my taste, and he was also looking for a date. He said that he's not looking for sex, which was exactly what I was looking for. And back then I didn't do what I do today. I didn't go on a video chat. I didn't have a long discussion. I said, okay, great, let's go. Let's meet up. Let's have a fun evening. Let's do a light tapas in a Spanish place or Mexican place. And little that did I know that this was like all wrong. But I needed to drive 45 minutes to get there.
Oh my God, he let you go that
It
far?
was in Brickell, and I remember exactly where it was. It was in Brickell, and I said, "Yeah, let's meet. Let's be adventurous. Let's meet." I just know how he looks. I know his name, his like first name, and that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. I don't know anything about him. He doesn't know anything about me. I'm going there. I'm meeting with him, and we say hi. We also kissed on the cheek.
Serial. No, I had a
No,
kiss in the mouth.
we had like
so
a
we
quick.
had a passionate French kiss.
No, this was at the beginning. So at the
Okay.
beginning, it was like a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and we sat down. We started like looking at the menu, and we ordered a few things. And then I start introducing myself. Hi, my name is this and this. I am divorced. I have two daughters, and very very quickly, I see the guy. The guy is very. He's a blonde guy. He was becoming pale very very quickly, and I saw that something is happening, and he says, Aiden, give me a few seconds. I need to go to the bathroom really, really quick.
And you did not know what happened while he went to the bathroom,
So no,
which was calling me.
so he went to the bathroom, and this took a much longer than a normal bathroom takes, and we didn't really eat yet. So the option of like having a diarrhea or something like that, it couldn't be the case. But 5 minutes passed, and then 7 minutes, 10 minutes, and then like really like a long time, like maybe 15 minutes, and then he came back, and he comes back and he says, uh, "Hi, do you know someone by the name of Eli by any chance?" And I said, "Oh shit, what happened?" And then he explained that he met with you the same around the same place the day before, and he.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? Absolutely, and what he. I mean, I was kind of like I was on the spot. I wasn't like I didn't know exactly what to do and how to deal with that. But what I got a sense was that you remember the movie Fatal Attraction?
Fatal Attraction?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with Michael Douglas and Glenn Close?
Yeah, with
Okay.
a bunny, with a cooked bunny. So I like what I had in mind that he has some kind of a thought that maybe I am this person, this ex who chases after my ex-husband and looks up. So
Oh my God, he thought you orchestrated just because I had a date with him and he wanted to sabotage?
I think that we briefly talked about that. I said, I apologize, I didn't plan that, but I wasn't sure if he was buying into that.
Okay.
I think that he had that in mind, that I was like orchestrating that or something like that, and I said, okay, let's end it right now because I don't know how to fix it.
What about all the food?
Yeah, we
Who
just
ate the food?
No, the bunny.
The bunny.
The bunny ate the food.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
that's it? You ended it?
We ended it, and I drove back 45 minutes back home. Nothing. I didn't get a kiss. I didn't get a hug.
Oh, he's a good kisser. Too bad he didn't get the kiss.
I don't know.
But
I never. And this happened maybe like a while ago, like
A while ago.
2.5, 3 years ago.
At least 2+ years.
Yeah.
But you know, it's kind of funny. It would be very interesting if we were able to kind of like find him and get his perspective of the story, right?
So the funny thing about it is that I happened to like I got some recommendations. Again, this does sound like a fatal attraction right now, but about 2 months ago, I started adding people based on my recommendations from Instagram. And
So Instagram, it became the new Tinder. They actually recommend you speaking with
yes,
certain
exactly.
people. Okay.
So I started adding some people, and I added the guy, and that guy immediately texted me and said, "Oh, a voice or someone from the past." And I said, "Oh, what happened?" Because I didn't get what he was trying to say. And he said, we have a history. Long story short,
That was the guy.
I basically added him to my
God.
Instagram.
What are the chances?
So we were kind of like laughing about it together, and I mentioned to him that we are, doing a podcast.
Okay.
And he said, "Oh, I would be down to join the podcast and add my perspective to that."
Are you serious?
Yeah. So
we have him here.
So we have him here, yeah, and
Wow.
we can add. Let me just go ahead and add him.
Wow. It would be very interesting to see to hear his perspective. It would be very interesting to hear his perspective. Wow, blast from the past. So, Adam, are you here?
Hey guys, yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, now we can actually say his name is Adam.
Yes.
So it's not just a someone. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? It's been a while.
It's been more than 2 years.
Tell
Yes,
us what's up with you?
What's up with you?
Man, I think it's been probably closer to 4 years or so. But yeah, life's been good. I moved from Miami. Now I'm just traveling full time, and yeah, I still tell the story of this to this day. I think it's
Oh my
hilarious.
Yes. So tell us your perspective of what exactly happened and how you felt, and do you resonate
Yeah, so
with us?
I
and
ended
what
up
we
talking
do?
to this guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up talking to this guy. First was you, Eli, and we matched on Tinder, and I think we talked over a couple days. We had a video chat, so there was kind of some build up. We had obviously talked about, wanting to be dating and not necessarily using the app for sex, which I liked. So we had a conversation. We talked over WhatsApp for a couple days, and then ended up meeting at this bar that I suggested, and it was really, really hit it off. Had a really good date. Had some drinks. I think we even like spent a little more time there than we expected because we were having a really good time. And ended up having kissed, which went really well, and had just in general a really great time. And said goodbye, both went our separate ways. So then the next morning, I was out for a walk, and I get a message on Grinder, and like, not that you guys look similar, but you have a kind of similar aesthetic, right? Like you guys both have a kind of particular build. You have the tattoos. Like there's just a certain like look to you guys. So I was a little surprised to see the next day of like someone kind of in that same class of person, like actively chasing me on the app. And Aiden, you were kind of very persistent. We talked a bit, and you were very much like, "Great, let's talk, let's meet up," which I think was a little surprising for me. Usually, I think there's a little bit of back and forth before scheduling a meeting. And I think what was for me kind of like immediately jumped into it. We didn't even talk much about like our interests, kind of who we are. It was just like, let's meet tonight. So I was like, you know what? I don't have any plans. I think it was like a Tuesday. So I was just like, why not? Let's go ahead and meet. I don't have anything else going on. So we sit down, we meet, walked in. I was very attracted to him. He's very handsome. We kind of start the conversation. Aiden, I think you were a little bit quiet at first, but the conversation started flowing. And then you started kind of talking about yourself and your past and your history. And kind of a couple things came up that I was like, oh, these are interesting coincidences with the guy that I had met last night. So like a couple things like just what you had talked about, the area that you live, which I think for me was also very interesting and a coincidence because we didn't necessarily live super close to each other. And given that Grinder is a location-based app, I was a little bit like, oh, interesting that we happen to connect, even though we're like 8 miles away on the grid, which in Miami is like endless scrolling. So conversation continues a bit more, and then more and more details keep dropping, and I start to get a little bit of a suspicion in my head, and I'm like, is this the ex-husband of the guy I met last night? No, no, no way, that'd be crazy. And then it continues, and then I hear about that you have daughters, that you live with your ex, and I was like, oh fuck, like there's no way that this is not the same person. So I go to the bathroom, and immediately I call my roommate and talk to her, and I was like, hey, so let me run some things by you and tell me what you think. And I tell her the story. She had heard about my date the night before, so she was already familiar. So as I keep talking and telling her, I'm like, "What do you think?" She's like, "It's got to be the same person. Like, it's got to be his ex husband." So I was like, "Yeah, I think I agree," and I'd come to the conclusion that it's probably the same person. So, in my perspective, in this moment, just so you can kind of understand where my headspace was, is I go on a date with the guy the night before. The very next day, the guy from who's 8 miles away is somehow messaging me the next morning after the date on Grinder and actively trying to meet me that night without learning that much about me. And now I'm in front of this guy and figuring out slowly that he is the ex-husband of the person I went on a date with the night before. So in my mind, I'm like, holy shit, like, how is this possible? Like, this guy would have had to clearly scroll pretty far down on a grid to find me. And in my mind, Eli went home and had a discussion with him about the date. And now he had like looked for a guy in Brickell who looked like me. So I was very much in this mindset of like, he's like, either this is a game or a competition between the two of them, or like Aiden is trying to like find the people that he was dating. So in my mind, I'm like, either he's like, I'm some kind of like prize between the two, or like Aiden is like trying to chase down the people that Eli's dating out of jealousy. Um, so I call Eli and tell him the story. Obviously, I think Eli was probably like, I could tell on the other end, he's like, what's the big deal? And I don't think he was really getting it from my perspective of like, how is this a coincidence? How is this happening? Like, but anyways, you were super chill about it, which I thought was cool. But I came back and I was just kind of like uncomfortable. I was like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything, but like, this is really crazy to me. And I'd already kind of like come to this thought in my head that there's no way this is just a coincidence. Like, there has to be something going on here. So at that point, I was like, okay, like, think we've got to end this. Like, I don't really think, even if it wasn't a cool, like, even if it was a coincidence, I don't know how comfortable I am trying to date two people living in the same house who are exes at the same time. So the whole thing just kind of like really threw me off. But yeah, so in that moment, I was very much in the headspace that like there's something fishy going on here, and definitely like really, really freaked me out a little bit in that moment.
Oh yeah,
So definitely fatal attraction
yeah.
movie
Yeah,
style.
But I can definitely understand how he felt that it might have been a game between us, that we were just trying to see, okay, let's go on a date with the same guy and see who wins. Or, you're jealous of my dates and you're trying to find them out. So actually it makes perfect sense. And I would have thought the same way. When he called me, I didn't see the big deal just because I knew it was a coincidence. I knew A, it wasn't a game. B, didn't know about the date, and we didn't share anything about dates back then, so you wouldn't have known. But it was funny. But then all of a sudden, when you called Adam, I was thinking, wait, so who is he going to choose? Who's the better option for him? So let's see who he chooses, me or you.
So Adam, this you gave us your perspective from the time that from the date, the actual date, the actual hour date. What's your perspective today? What do you think happened?
I mean, honestly, to this day, I'm still very confused how you came across my profile when it was so far away. So, like, I think even up to the point that we were jumping into this podcast, I was still a little bit like, man, was it really a coincidence? But like you guys, I assume you're being honest, so I gotta trust that. But yeah, for me, that's like the biggest key factor. Like, if we both were all living in Brickell or in nearby neighborhoods, then I would have immediately believed it could have been a coincidence. But the fact that you were so far away, to this day, I'm still kind of like, how did he find me? How did he happen to come across my profile from so far away in a city just packed with gays?
So I'll
Yeah, how did you find him?
you're right. It's it's a numbers game, right? So if you say hi to 200 people across the Miami area, and you're getting back uh, high back from 20 of them, then that's how it works.
So he has Grinder Unlimited. He can scroll down to like 25, 30 miles away. So you're just scrolling down for hours and just like saying hi to everyone.
No, it's pretty much it could be like
Pretty
the
much the
case.
same.
Yeah. So I am not when I am working on looking for dates or for hookups. I am not necessarily limiting myself to a specific region. I explore other regions, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's like it's really fascinating to me. I think that the interesting thing about this story is that it happened back to back, or like,
Yeah.
day after day. That's I think what makes it even more fascinating, at least to me. Um,
Yeah, but Adam, now the big question: who who you preferred better?
no, but before that question, what
It's not. It's not really a fair question because like
That
the day with Aiden was like so shut down and
did
uncomfortable pretty quickly
not
into it,
get
so we didn't really
the
have the chance to get to know each other.
did not get the right chance
Yeah,
to
the
impress.
second I said that I'm divorced, having two kids, I live
Yeah.
in this place. This is when he
Yeah.
flipped, and
And I did not know that he called his roommate first. So I did not know that.
I
I
didn't know that
think
as
I
well.
think he just called. I thought he just called me,
So wait, so Adam, so we need to have another date.
or we can do a throuple.
We need to have a date to
Yeah,
make
but
up to make up on the day that we
you want
didn't have.
to do long distance?
Long distance. Oh yeah, we had an episode about long distance, but we can also be a throuple.
Yeah, we can be a throuple. We have an episode about throuple. We need to explore that option.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it's a throuple and long distance.
Wow.
It's
It's
everything
We've
is
got options.
condensed together.
it's crazy. Yeah. Thank you, Adam, and maybe we'll see each other again when you're in Miami.
By the
That'll be
way,
fun.
I have before we let Adam go, I will
Sounds
just
good.
let you
Thanks, guys.
know that I had another story where I was on a date. Again, big mistake, having dinner on a date, first date, and I'm telling this story, like the
The Adam
Adam
story.
the Adam story, to the date, and me and the date. Oh, we laugh about that story and so forth, and we're done. We end up the date. We kiss, like a small kiss, and we go each one to his own way. The following day, we text each other, and then the guy tells me, "I couldn't tell you that on a date yesterday, but I also dated Eli."
Oh, I know who but you know what I know as well?
So I was telling this story. We were laughing about that. He couldn't tell me that he was dating Eli on that day, on that date. He needed to go home to have a night, and then he texted me that he was dating you.
But also, what you don't know is this guy also knows Adam. He's Adam's friend.
Oh, no way!
Yes, he is. He
Do you
is
know who the
Adam's
guy
friend.
is?
He knows. No?
Yeah, no, you
No.
guys told me before.
You know the guy.
Yeah, I
You
think
know
so,
the
right?
guy. Yeah, we can delete the doctor one.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. I didn't know that this is like
Yeah, so he
also
already
connected.
so he heard the story probably from Adam because he's
Oh,
Adam's. He was Adam's
no
friend.
way!
Yes.
Oh
So
god.
it's all connected. It's crazy how everything is connected. So, and I did tell Adam about his friend that I know his friend because I saw a picture of the guy with Adam on his Instagram. So I did tell Adam that I met his friend. I think it was like a week or 2 weeks before I met Adam,
Oh, that's crazy.
and then you met him afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At least it wasn't the day after.
at least. Yeah, I think it was like a little bit
All
more
right, so
spread.
Adam, I'll text you when we can have our date.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, now we can talk about another story, which is which was actually very crazy as well. And I was speaking with this guy who lived pretty close by. He lived like a neighborhood next to us, and we've been talking for a while. And we shared our Instagrams. We didn't really have the time to meet. I was busy. He was busy. Then I went to New York for a week from work, and we talked the whole New York trip, we FaceTimed, we exchanged messages. It was really intense, and I was really interested in this guy. And then I told him, when I'm back from New York, let's meet up. And I think I was supposed to come back on Sunday. I told him, let's just go Sunday night or whatever. And I was really excited. He was really excited. And then I think it was on Saturday, you told me, oh, just so you know, I met this guy. I went with him all night at this neighborhood. Now, why in this neighborhood? It was pretty close. How many gay guys, live in that neighborhood? And I asked you,
Right.
is his name dot dot dot? And then you said yes. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, we literally just talked yesterday, and I did not understand why this guy was seeing you. And he saw my Instagram. He saw obviously your pictures as well. I didn't understand why he went on a date with my ex while he's been speaking with me for 2 weeks, and then scheduling to meet with me the next day on Sunday, and he had the full night with you. You literally had a full night till almost morning. I remember.
Yeah. So you were very upset about with me about that back then. We had a very big fight
Yeah,
about it.
we did.
You were basically accusing me of orchestrating that. And the fact of the matter is that this guy lives very close to us. I've never seen him before on Grinder. And all of a sudden, I see him on Grinder. Like he texts me on Grinder, and that's the first time that I've seen him. You know how it is. In the neighborhood, usually you see the same faces
Yeah.
over and over. I've never seen this guy before. I mean, he doesn't live super super close, but very close
No,
by,
pretty close.
pretty close by. But I've never seen him before. He texted me, and the discussion very quickly moves into let's meet now. Let's meet now. It was like, I don't know, 6 p.m. Let's do something now. And it was very appealing because he offered to meet very close by. So not a big undertake in terms of like driving and getting ready and so forth. Just something small in the neighborhood, and let's meet. And he looked good, and I was available. I said, "Yeah, sure, let's meet." And we met. And when we got to the place, it was interesting because we immediately met a guy that he knows. So we sat down, the three of us. So it was never like a one-on-one. Like we got into the place, and he saw someone. Oh, and we sat together, the three of us. So when I introduced myself, and when we talked, it was like a discussion of three people. And I said, I live, very close by. I have two daughters. I have a ex-husband, and so forth. And immediately, uh, the guys, him and his friend, they wanted to see pictures. So I showed them our pictures, like family pictures, like multiple pictures of us with our daughters, like in holiday or something like that. Standing, like orchestrated
And I remember
pictures.
he mentioned my shoes.
Yes, and I remember.
Actually, I'm wearing the same shoes.
I remember
if you're
very-
watching on YouTube.
Very vividly, he was zooming in the picture on you, and then he was like looking at what you were wearing, and was mentioning something about the shoes, like
my neon shoes. By the way, the same picture was also on my Instagram. So it's not like it was only on your Instagram, it was also on my Instagram.
So I at that point in time I didn't. Yes, I did ask him. I remember it vividly. I asked him specifically, "Do you know him?" Because at that point in time, we were kind of like still figuring out how we feel about dating the same guys.
No, we actually said, and I think I remember that. The reason why I was angry is that we said we try to not date
Right.
the same person.
So not only he saw the picture, and he was very focusing on you. I asked him, "Do you know him? Do you know my ex? And he said no. He said no. And for me, it was enough. I'm talking to a guy. Like I never start discussing with a guy thinking there is a foul play or something like that. And yeah, and we had a great evening. You know,
It was
me.
so great that you told me about it the next day.
Yes, there was nothing for me to hide about it. I was like voluntarily chatting with you about the guy, and this is when you figured out that this is the same guy that you're speaking with, and it took you months
I flipped, to be honest.
to so for months you didn't believe me. You thought that I was doing this somehow purposely, and we actually talked to the guy. We actually had the three of us.
Yeah.
We were texting with a guy, and the guy was lying. He was saying that he didn't pay attention. I don't know if he was lying, but he said, "Oh, I didn't pay attention. I wasn't looking. I didn't look closely." But it was weird because I asked him specifically, "Do you know my ex? Like, his picture."
Yeah.
And he said no.
Which is crazy because we've been talking for a long time before, at least 2 weeks. We FaceTime. He had my Instagram. When I talked about my girls, obviously, he knew my story. So
Yeah.
I
So when
was
I told my story, he was very surprised about it. Even
yeah
though there aren't any
exes who live in this neighborhood
couples
with
like us. Yeah.
with two
We're
daughters.
kind of like one of a kind.
Yeah, and I was shocked because he told me that he did not know you are my ex, and I was like, how is that possible? And then you told me that you showed him a picture of
At
us
the beginning of the
Yeah.
evening.
And to me, I didn't really know because when you're talking with someone for 2 weeks and you're texting a lot, you're invested in this person.
Yeah.
It wasn't just someone I talked with and let's meet at some point. We've been talking for 2 weeks, FaceTime. We were both very invested. It was daily texting, which I think, again, it's the wrong thing to do to invest in text and video chats for that long and very intensely before meeting up. But I felt very invested in this person. And all of a sudden, my rule was I'm not dating anyone that has been with you. So that's it. I cannot date this guy. I won't be able to meet him. And that's it. That was done. And to me, that was devastating because I was really invested in it. Obviously, today, I do not have that rule anymore because we understand the reality of things. I don't think it's a reality to say, oh, I will not date anyone that my ex had a date with or that he had sex with, because that will limit my pool by a lot of people. And I'm not talking about dating someone who was an official boyfriend or someone that I loved or whatever, you know. So I really think that by the end of the day, these things happen. And we do share more about dates today and who we're meeting. And if I know someone that maybe knows you, I will ask you. If I see someone that we have in common on Instagram and I want to date him, I will ask you, do you know this person? What's your history with that person? Because I wanted to make sure that I'm aware of things beforehand.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then,
And then you do whatever you want to do.
yeah, but at least I know the history.
Yeah, so you're asking me if I have an issue with you dating with this guy, and even if I say yes,
As
it doesn't mean that you are not gonna date him.
as I said, if he was a boyfriend or someone you said I love you to, I would never do that. But if you just dated someone, it's you cannot say, "Oh, don't date this person." Again,
It's a question because
It is.
if I'm telling you, and we're talking about another story.
because there are so many stories.
Yeah, this is another story, another person that I was seeing for a few weeks, and it didn't end. I didn't get the closure. The closure that it ended without a good closure, and I always felt that there is a chance for us to get back together.
You broke up with him,
Yes,
so it wasn't you said no closure, but you broke up with him.
correct. I
Broke up. I mean, you stopped dating him.
I broke up with it, but Eli, it doesn't mean anything. If I'm saying we're done, it's not that he was 100% good, and I'm saying we're done. I'm the bad person. We had issues, right? We had issues, and both people are contributing to the issues. And eventually, I was the one who was saying, "Okay, we are done" at that particular moment. But we didn't get a closure, and I felt that there was a good chance for me and him to reconnect in the future. I felt that it wasn't the end of the story, even though that many months and
Months, years, not
maybe
months.
even years passed, not years, but more than a year passed. Uh, uh, and then you told me that you met this guy, and how do I feel about it? And I said, I feel strongly, specifically about this guy, that I don't think that you should be dating him. And what did you do?
I had a date with him just
A
because.
date? One?
No, a few dates.
You had a
But
few
what I'm
dates.
saying is, first of all, I asked him if, obviously I told him that we know each other, that, you're my ex. He understood the situation. He said, I have zero feelings towards your ex. I don't want anything with him in the future. There's no possible way of me wanting to get back on dating with him again. So I'm good. So when he said that, I felt like I at least need to try to see if there's something there, because I would, and that's me, I would never tell you not to date someone I even dated for 2, 3 weeks or 4 weeks that never materialized to a
No,
relationship.
but you don't downgrade it.
I'm not
It
downgrading
was
it.
at least 6 weeks that we dated.
Yeah, but there was no, you were not boyfriends. You were not in a real relationship. You dated a few people during that time. He wasn't the only guy you were dating at that time. So you
So
weren't
did he.
exclusive.
So
Okay. So you weren't exclusive. And if I, let's say he was, let's say he would have been the love of my life, why would I pass a chance of meeting someone that could be the love of my life because you dated him, you were never boyfriends, and you never really loved him, and he doesn't see any chance of rekindling what you had? If he said, I don't know, I'm going to feel about it, I might, it will bring some feelings, but
but you were willing to jeopardize our relationship
I don't think
for
it would.
that.
I don't think so. I think if we were to continue, you would eventually bless us. That's what I thought. I don't think it would have been a problem for you. That's what I
So
think.
what happened?
It just didn't materialize, which is, like most people you meet when you date, most chances that that person is not going
So would you
to
do
be the
something
person.
different today?
No, I wouldn't do anything different because I needed to know if that person might be the right guy for me. To be honest, I was not relieved that he wasn't because I thought at least I tried and I know. I just did not want to be in a place in limbo where, oh, maybe that person could have been my person, and because of what you said, I now lost the love of my life. But let's summarize because by the end of the day, many gay couples might find themselves in these types of situations. So, what you think should be the rules, or maybe there shouldn't be any rules, when two exes, and I'm not talking about people who just dated like 3, 4 months, I'm talking about long term relationship, even like divorced people with kids. What happens in terms of dating the same people? Do you share things with your ex, your dates? Do you verify if the person knew? What would be your approach for other people? What would be your suggestions for other people?
I'm still exploring. I don't know how to deal with that yet. I don't think that I have like a very clear understanding of like what I'm looking for, what I like. I yeah, I don't know. I'm still exploring. I would like to know, like, at least to know if that person, if you know each other, uh, and then get into this with my eyes open, but and not be blindsided by any way. But I don't really have a clear path of what I'm looking for. Should I be not dating someone that you dated? Should I date someone that you dated? I don't have a
But
clarity.
do you think it's the right thing to do when, for example, when I'm checking my Instagram, seeing the guy I'm dating is on your Instagram, and I come and ask you about him? Because we did have this guy that I dated for a few weeks, and you knew him as well. And then you told me he's not a good person, and he actually
And was he a good person?
no.
You found out yourself that he's
Yeah, I found myself he wasn't a good
what
person.
happened?
He lied to me about the nature of your relationship. He told me one thing. He told me he knows you being in a certain way, but then I realized it was not,
How did you realize that?
because I talked with you and you told me certain things, and then I confronted with him about it, and then he told me that he lied, basically,
Mm.
and that was the end of it. So if someone is lying to me and I didn't understand why he lied, I mean, it's okay to say the truth, and I'll be the one, dealing with it. But like, why lying about certain things? Why lie that he knows you, but he didn't have sex with you when he actually did? So I did not understand why he would lie to me about it.
Some people, some people, are just that's the way they are.
Yeah, so there are pros to ask you if you know that person, because maybe you can give me fresh perspective about things, or a different perspective about things. But it also might bring me to the date with some, like, certain things that I am thinking about that may not be true, or some of the times it's your perspective on things. So if I come to a date and you told me, oh yeah, I know him and we did this and this and that, so I'm coming with a previous knowledge to the date that might not be a fresh kind of, like, I want to explore this myself and understand who the guy is.
I mean, I am the kind of person who doesn't like to force my opinion on others. With that specific person, it was like so obvious that he wasn't a good person that I just told you, this is my experience with this guy, but maybe for you it's going to be different. And I let you, live that experience yourself. I didn't interject anything anymore. Uh, for me, I would not, if I find out that I'm seeing someone that knows you, I would not hide it from you. I would definitely
No, of
let you know.
course.
Yeah.
But I think now my approach is, when I'm dating someone, I'm not thinking too much. I'm just going on a date. Doesn't matter if I think you met before or not. And then if there's like a second date or a third date, and then if I realize that you know each other, obviously I'm going to tell you, but I just don't want to come into
But
the
let's break
first
it down.
meeting.
What's the issue? Let's say that you're seeing someone that knows me and dated me. What's the issue with that?
Well, now today it's not really an issue, but back then it
If I don't
was.
have any issue with that, and he doesn't have any, like, what's
No, you're
behind
right.
that?
There shouldn't be any issues, but at the beginning it
The only
was.
issue that I had was that I had something not closed with that one specific individual, and this was the only person that I told you ever, that I'm having an issue. Anyone else that we knew each other, we both knew, I never told you anything about him. Do this or don't do that. There was only one specific person, and that was because there was not a closure from my
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. So again, I think when we're talking about that, I think every couple should do what's best for them. I think if
And it's
the
okay to explore and figuring out what is your path, because sometimes things are not, even now I'm not that clear what I'm looking for, if I should like move away, or should I ignore the fact that he knows you. uh, uh, Sometimes you just learn on the fly.
yeah, but I think what's really important is still that we have a great communication with each other, and we don't hide things from each other. and we respect each other as much as we can within the circumstances. And yeah,
I think my biggest lesson from this is, yes, any date is a potential my person, right? But most dates are dates that end after one, two, three, four, five, six. They eventually they end. Finding that my person, that one person that is your person, is once in a, and you need to think, in my opinion, if you are willing to jeopardize the relationship that we have as exes over something that most likely will be ending at one point or not. How do you do it? How do you navigate
yeah,
maintaining the relationship that we are committed to having a long lasting relationship between the two of us, not a romantic relationship, but we are committing. So how do you make sure uh, that you don't damage this relationship over something that has a potential to being your person?
well, first of all, we don't have a lot of ex-boyfriends really, or people that we really in that we are invested. We don't have a lot of people that we were invested romantically and emotionally. We don't have a lot of those in the past, so the chances it will happen is very low. But I think that, again, as you said, we're still exploring things, but we really need to be also sensitive towards each other.
Yeah.
So if you have those kind of stories too, those are those crazy stories, and what we had with Adam, this is basically like nuts. So if you have interesting stories, let us know. Direct message us on Instagram at We Are Better Together, or leave us a comment on our YouTube channel under this video. And our YouTube channel is also at We Are Better Together apart. So please follow us, subscribe, write us a review. That'll be really, really appreciated. And as you know, we are always better together apart. Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.